So I'm going to make this video about using leveraged token bots in Pionex and the pros and cons, and also I suppose the extra benefits that I'll show in just a minute. So a leveraged token is basically a derivative of the original asset. So we're looking here as an example of Bitcoin 3L, which means 3x long. So if I wanted to set up a bot on Bitcoin, I could do that, and I could say, okay, I think Bitcoin's going to go up. Obviously it's not gone up here, but let's just say I thought it was going to go up, and I will use a bot on Bitcoin. It would trade the volatility within the range, and I would get USDT, because that's the pair that I'm trading here. Now the range that's well, I suppose if I had set this up yesterday, it wouldn't have been very good. It would be down 5.45%, so that's not very good. But it could have been a lot worse if I'd done the leverage bot. If we have a look here, the leverage bot is actually 16%. So you can see basically it's 3 times, which is why it says 3 times the range of the original asset. It's a derivative token of the original token. So this would have been horrendous if I'd have done this last night. Or I could have, if I was feeling really clever. This is another good thing about having leveraged tokens. You could go for the BTC 3S. That means 3x, S for short. And as you can see, if I'd have set this one up last night, I would have basically made money. I would have made a significant amount of money. I would have made 18% up to where the price action is right now. Obviously, being in a bot would have traded the range, and I would have earned tether on the side of this, plus the tokens that I would hold would be up by this amount. So you can see that this would benefit you in a bear market. If you were cleverer and knew that there was going to be a correction or expected a correction, you could go for the short token. But the point I'm trying to put across is that using leveraged tokens increases the range, increases the volatility, and it would increase the bot or the grid profit that you would earn in setting up one of these bots. Now you could buy these tokens and just hold them like you would do in a spot trade, and you would make obviously quite a lot of money by doing that. You're carrying a lot more risk because it's a leveraged token. So by decreasing the increased risk that you've created, you could set up a leveraged token bot. And the reason that's decreasing the risk a little bit is that even though the volatility of the range is increased and you stand to earn more or lose more depending on which way it goes, because the volatility is so much more increased, there's more transactions that take place. And the more transactions that take place, the more grid profit you earn as a result. And so in theory, if this went all the way up and all the way back down to where I started it from, my tokens would break even. I would basically make no money on the trade from the holding the leveraged token, but through the whole process, the grid and the bot had been using those grids and has been making me profit throughout the process. So I could break even with the trade, but I would profit by using the bot. So you're increasing your risk from using leverage in the first place, you're decreasing the risk of the increased risk by using it in the form of a bot. Hopefully that's not too complicated way of explaining it, but when increasing risk, it's always nice to have some form of safety net, and using increased risk within a bot would decrease the risk that you've taken on. So that would be the benefit of using leveraged tokens in a bot. So we're going to set up some of these bots now. I'm going to see how they work out over a few days, maybe a week or so, and yeah, hopefully we'll have some good results. So this is the first bot that I set up. This one has been going for almost 7 days, so six days, 18 hours, and what you can see here on the results is that I've made $189. I put in $1,010 into this bot. Now if we look at the actual details of what's happened here, if I'd have done this as a spot trade, I would have only earned at this point $27, because clearly it was going the right way to start with, and then it started to retrace and it's almost back to square one. So this is what I was saying at the beginning of the video, where I increase my risk but then I decrease it by using it in the form of a bot. And if we have a look at the side, the grid profit here is $162. So I've earned more from basically the volatility of this range than I have from actually holding the token itself. If I'd have just gone in on this and held it as a spot trade, it would have only benefited me by the tune of 2.5%, but the grid profit alone has earned me 16%. So using the bot in this instance has worked out well, and I think this is at this point I'm going to close the bot down because I don't want the token to go lower than where I bought it from. But even if it did do that by a certain amount, I would still be in profit by something. The grids have basically benefited me and created that safety net. And this could have worked out a lot better if the token had just continued to go up, but because it didn't do that and it came back to where it started from, I'm still in profit by 18%, almost 19%. So this one has worked out really well, and it's a good example about how increasing your risk can be dangerous, but then by adding a bot to that increased risk adds an element of safety. Safety is probably not the right word, but an additional form of profit which you can fall back on if your trade goes the wrong way. So here's two more bots that I've got going at the moment, a BNB 3L bot and an SXP 3L bot. The first bot that I set up, all these bots are infinity grids, by the way. They're infinity grids because the range is going to be so volatile that I didn't want to put in a grid range myself. I wanted the ability for it to go completely to the moon if it wanted to, so I used infinity grids. But the difference I used here on the SXP 3L bot has actually gone against me. Obviously it's in profit, quite a lot here and over a very small space of time. But I rather than using the Pionex's automated strategy and just let Pionex organize the grids themselves, which would have been at every time the price moved 1%, there would have been a transaction. So that's up 1% would be a sell, down 1% would be a buy, and so on and so on. I thought I'd get clever, and I changed the grids to have buys and sells take place within 0.2% of the range, which was too small. So there has been way too many transactions take place. There's been thousands of transactions take place, and even though it's made me $75 worth of grid profit, if I'd have left it to do the automated strategy at 1%, I would have made loads more. And the reason for that is that the range has definitely been the same, but because I've had thousands of transactions rather than hundreds, I've had a lot of trading fees attributed to that bot, and it's basically absorbed the grid profit. So I would suggest, to be honest with you, I would actually suggest that you stick to the automated strategy, especially in volatile tokens like this. But even so, the results have been pretty good on a very short space of time here. Now I am going to close these bots down now because unlike my last bot, which went for 7 days, these have been going just for a few days and they're already in profit, and I feel like it's time for me to bank that profit already, because what the last bot showed me is that I could have made a lot more if I'd have closed it while the token was also in profit and the grid had made profit. In this instance, the token has made me more profit than the grid, and I feel as though it's time to cancel this bot down. Also because I've made a mistake trying to get clever, creating a leveraged token grid of way too small of a range, basically. So the fees have basically, I've been paying so much in fees that the grid profit on the SXP bot is only $75, and it probably should have been 3, maybe 4 times more than that, but I was obviously trying to get too clever. So you can see that on all of these results, they've all been really good, but it is definitely worth knowing a little bit about what you're doing, because if this does go the wrong way, these profits wouldn't be like this. They would be in the red. You would have grid profit, to help you get over that loss, but it wouldn't be as much. It wouldn't compensate you for the amount that you'll have lost. You have to be relatively confident that the direction is going to be the direction that you've chosen. And like I said at the beginning, it doesn't necessarily have to be up. If we are entering a bear market, or if there is a correction due to take place and you are confident of that, you could set one of these bots up using the S token, so a BNB 3S token or an SXP 3S token, and you would get a massive amount of profit as the market drops. And this is something that's really worth thinking about and bearing in mind, because cryptocurrency has been going up for a long time now. We are in a bull market, there's no question about it, but all good things come to an end, and if you've been around for as long as me, you will know that when a bear market does kick in, they can be significant, they can be aggressive. I mean it's happened multiple times, but even with Bitcoin alone, there's been periods of an entire year, a 12-month period, where it retraces to the point where it's lost 85% of its value from the top, and that takes a 12-month period. So if you want to stay in the game, if you want to continue playing the cryptocurrency world and making money from that, you don't have to go into hibernation when it comes to a bear market. You can profit from it significantly, and this is one of the ways you could go about doing it, setting up a leveraged token, but an S token rather than an L token. So this is all you'd need to do to set this bot up. So you choose which asset you wanted to choose. So we'll just go with this one for the moment as an example. And this is an S token. So for shorting the market, as you can see, shorting the market in this instance means that the market's going up, but in real life it's actually going down. So if we were going to choose that, we'd choose the leverage grid bot S token there. We'll go to trade. I will use the AI strategy because that worked out much better for me than trying to set it up myself manually. The AI strategy worked much better, as you can see, with the grid profit that I got on the Algorand bot was way more than the SXP bot. And I would basically go to create, and I can't create it at the moment. All my funds are wrapped up in this arbitrage bot at the moment, which I'm testing. But I'll use that. I'll show you that on a different video. But yeah, and that's all I would need to do. Press create, and we would start the bot. Now it's worth mentioning again that by increasing your risk, you do increase your rewards if it goes the right way. But if by increasing the risk, you obviously increase your risk of losing. That's the point of it. So higher risk to reward means that you're likely to get much bigger gains if it goes the right way. But because it's a risk and it's increased risk, if it goes the wrong way, you will lose money. You will lose more money than you would do on a normal bot because you've increased your risk by the amount of 3. It's a leveraged token, so it's definitely worth bearing in mind. And it's also, like I say, the way that I'm going to be doing these bots in the future is that they will not be going on for a very long period of time. If I feel as though the move has been made, or if it starts to go down significantly, I will exit that trade. I will close that bot. This isn't like the previous bot that I had with seller to BTC, where in theory I could have left that one on for the majority or the rest of the year perhaps and just continued to make decent money. I mean, that bot was particularly good, where I'd more than doubled my money in 3 weeks, whereas these I wouldn't keep on for longer than a week. There's another reason for that, is that because it's a leverage token, the leverage amount gets rebalanced after 7 days. So after 7 days, it wouldn't be 3x anymore. It would be like 1.5x at that point. So 7 days would be the peak of your bot's performance. After 7 days, it will decrease in its performance, just because the leveraged amount is less, which means that the volatility is less, and also the gains on the token are less. So these bots are for short, fast gains. Nothing more. Short, fast gains and nothing more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from it. There is a link in the description to set a Pionex account up. I'll leave a link for my previous video about how I used this with a BTC pair, alt to BTC pair, which worked extremely well as well at the same time. Yeah, I hope you have a nice day, and thanks for watching, and take it easy.